Winnipeg Jets fans, it is officially the start of free agency, and the Jets have made some moves. They've signed some players. They apparently have some irons in the fire, but let's be honest. If you are hoping for anything exciting, the Jets have once again disappointed. I have a lot of thoughts, and as somebody who loves the Jets, sometimes it feels like the Jets just don't love you back. We'll talk about why Winnipeg has really dropped the ball here and what exactly Winnipeg's plan is for the next couple of weeks as the Jets are prepping for the upcoming season. Gotta be honest, I'm not really sure myself. All coming right up on tonight's episode of Locked On Winnipeg Jets.
You're Locked On the Hockey Jets, your daily podcast on the Winnipeg Jets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, friends, and welcome to tonight's episode of Locked On Winnipeg Jets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Harrison Lee, an avid Winnipeg Jets fan and an online blogger. You can follow me on Twitter at HLivingLoco and at LO_Winnipeg Jets. Thank you for choosing to make Locked On Jets your first listen of the day every day. If you like what you're hearing, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform of choice, including Apple, Spotify, Google, Megaphone, Odyssey, and YouTube. We love and appreciate your support, so drop us a like and a follow on your favorite platform. And as always, thanks again for listening. It's time to dive into Winnipeg Jets free agency, which, every year we go through the same cycle. And every year, I don't even know why I get my hopes up at this point, because I think the Jets have kind of made it clear that Winnipeg is not going to be a big player in this market. But, this particular season, this offseason, what the Jets have kind of tried to cue us into with previous moves and things, I was at least slightly bit hopeful, right? I kind of thought maybe the Jets would change their MO. Maybe Winnipeg would recognize that this team, if they're trying to compete, if they're trying to make the playoffs, if they're trying to actually do anything in the postseason, it can't rely on the status quo. And there were so many players who got put on waivers to have their contract terminated. Some folks got bought out. There were plenty of great RFAs who weren't qualified and who are still available as of this recording, but the Jets haven't really tipped their hand that they're interested in much of anyone, and I think that this, for me, is a major concern. First, though, let's talk about the two players that they did sign. They've brought in Kevin Stenlund and David Riddick, and I believe both are essentially signing for around like 800 to 900K per season on one-year deals. Now, these guys, I mean, let's be real. Eric Comrie has now walked to the Buffalo Sabres for 2 years, and I believe he's being paid $1.8 million per season. So obviously, on a contract like that, I think the Jets, saving around half that contract and going with David Riddick, it's fine, right? I mean, Riddick is okay. I think David, Big Save Dave a couple of years ago, he was actually legit a great goalie for a time, but the most recent spell with the Nashville Predators, a little bit alarming for Jets fans. And I don't really expect him to have a particularly impactful role for this team. I think he'll maybe start a handful of games, but probably even less than Eric Comrie started, which is kind of funny because I think the admission was Comrie didn't start enough, and Eric himself has kind of seemingly wanted a little bit more opportunity. So, for the Jets to really drop the ball here, where all they had to do was play him like 90 more minutes and they could have qualified him, I think that was a bit of a mistake. Now, it sounds like the Jets weren't really interested in doing that anyways because, they felt that the qualifying offer would be too expensive. And it's like, okay, maybe he gets a bit of a raise. Maybe his qualifying offer comes in at a pretty high number. But, at some point, the Jets also have to recognize that, you can't just keep scrubbing the bottom of the barrel and hoping that this is going to work every single time. I think with Riddick, there is decent upside on this deal. I'm just not sure that it's tremendous upside. Maybe he becomes like a decent, 9-10 save percentage backup. I think if that's the case, if he hits, just around league average for a goalie or something, I can very much accept that. I think that that's fine. But, when you're not paying a lot, you're just over league minimum, you kind of have to expect that you're not getting a lot out of that deal. And so for me, Riddick is just kind of like, I guess, okay, sure. Um, I mean, they don't really have many goalies in the system that I would want to trust. Mikhail Berdin hasn't really impressed me, unfortunately. I think that his mechanics and stuff are still raw, and I wouldn't really want him to be the backup. And it's just it's a little bit frustrating, right? But I mean, I think Big Save Dave brings positive vibes. Maybe he can, resuscitate some of his old form. Whatever the case is, he is probably the bigger signing of the two. The other addition is Kevin Stenlund, and if you don't really know who he has come out of Columbus's system. Doesn't really have a long NHL track record. I think he's played something like 71 games, maybe a bit more than that. But the long and short of it is he's a big center who offers more of a defensive presence. Not really a pronounced goal scorer, but his hand-eye coordination is pretty good. He can pass pretty well. It's just that he doesn't really find himself in a lot of dangerous scoring opportunities, and he's not really somebody who's going to be like a massive creator. But I mean, as like a fourth line center, it's kind of whatever. I think that it's again for a really cheap deal on a 1-year contract or whatever. It's just again, I don't really fuss about it too much, but I do have like a broader point about all of this that I think is kind of important to mention, and it's that the Jets, they're not really signing big impact players. If you're thinking this team, as Chevy has indicated, is going to be good enough to run it back next year, and if you like this group of players, I just have to ask what exactly your plan is then. Do you think that this team is going to be better under Bonus? Yeah, it might be. Bones might be able to take a little bit more out of this team and actually get it into a postseason spot. But what is your expectation beyond that? Because look at this team. Look at what they've done over the past couple of years. There's not a strong track record of success ever since 2017, 2018. So for me, I just don't really understand what the game plan is. And I'll talk about, my personal frustrations as a fan in a little bit and why I feel like this just isn't good enough. But before we go any further and before I end up starting my rant, I just wanted to shout out one of our wonderful partners at Athletic Greens. I've mentioned them before. Athletic Greens offers a great product that I use literally every day. I started taking AG1 because I was looking to fortify my immune system and give myself a boost to the daily regimen. Obviously there's plenty of supplements out there, but you find yourself having to take quite a few of them to get the same results, right? You might have like 20 or 30 pills or something on the high end. Hopefully none of you are taking that many, but there are some crazy people out there. And instead of trying to go through all of this stuff, I wanted something that's a lot more convenient. With AG1, you get one delicious scoop and you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens, all spun together with a handy dandy little spoon and a glass of water. And really, that's all you need. It's super simple. And, for AG1, I mean, it fits almost every lifestyle. It's got no nasty chemicals or GMOs. It's keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, and gluten free. So no matter what your dietary restrictions are, it's made to match your lifestyle. And rather than spending so much money on tons of vitamins and supplements, a scoop of AG1 just costs you a little under $3 a day. So, for an entire month supply, you're getting all of the vitamins and minerals you could possibly need, plus, a little bit of extra stuff. And, this is a really great value. Again, it's got over 7,000 5-star reviews. It's tested and proven by plenty of folks out there who are looking to give their immune system a really big boost. And it's just a small habit that you can get into to help your overall health picture and give you the boost that you need every single day. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every single day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Hello, friends, and welcome back to this episode of Locked On Winnipeg Jets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you so much for choosing to make Locked On Jets your first listen of the day, every day. Like I said right before the break, this is kind of where I'm going to be a little bit ranty. I'm not going to get super angry because I think my ability to be angry and upset at the Jets over the past couple of years, I've just kind of lost it. I think Winnipeg really hasn't given me a lot to be emotionally invested in. And the overall mood of the team for me, like obviously I still love the Jets, right? But I just feel like I don't have as much emotionally invested into their success as I used to. 5, 7 years ago, maybe longer, I was like right there. I was like, let's win a cup. Let's go. Let's freaking do this crap. Let's seek out some of the best trade options possible. Let's actually build a real contender. And I fully believe the Jets were going to be a cup winner. I straight up went all the way from Baltimore to Winnipeg and spent like a week and a half hanging out. I was super psyched. I got to go to a couple of playoff games. The atmosphere at the time in MTS was just, it was to die for. I mean, it was awesome. The fan base was so engaged. Everyone was happy. People were running through the streets. I mean, it was a mind-blowing time, and for the life of me I don't understand why the Jets ever let it get to the point where when you walk into Canada Life Center it's just a ghost town. It sounds like there's no one in there. You could have 11,000 people in that stadium and it just sounds like you could hear a mouse poop in there. I don't know why they've allowed the atmosphere to decline so much, and they're just not really giving Jets fans something to latch onto. I know that Cheveldayoff said that he had some um, irons in the fire with some contract offers that he's waiting for, but when you look at this team and you look at the lack of success recently, if your plan is to run it back like he's basically saying they're going to, I just don't think it's acceptable. Pierre-Luc Dubois' agent just a little bit ago said that, Dubois' intention is very much to go to Montreal. This was in an interview with TVA, if you're looking for it, so you can check out TVA's articles. But, this whole myth or this whole belief that the Jets can just sort of go through the same process and expect things to, make a few tweaks here and expect the problems to just go away. They're not going away. The only way that they're going to go away is if Winnipeg is able to, put on the adult pants and deal with some of these problems. Now, I do think Cheveldayoff is trying to do stuff on the back end, but is it really enough? Is what he's doing truly targeting the right players? I think we're going to get a better sense over the next couple of days of what his philosophy is. But I got to be honest. I mean, the public statements that the team is making, it's not really giving me a lot of confidence that the Jets are aware of where the problems truly lie. You can't just bring in a couple of guys and say, you maybe find some AHL depth or maybe some bottom six players and think this is enough. I need them to chase bigger fish. And some of these guys they can only get through trades. But, we're not really hearing a lot about Blake Wheeler's trade stuff. It sounds like it's very quiet. We're not hearing a ton about Pierre-Luc Dubois' trade offers other than Montreal not really coming in at the price that the Jets were hoping for. What then are we supposed to latch onto? I love the draft that the Jets had with McGroarty and Brad Lambert. Some of the other picks I'm a little bit, more lukewarm on, but overall I thought, like I said on the previous podcast, I gave them a B, but that can't be it. The Jets, when they have prospects, when it comes to developing them and actually getting them NHL ice time, it's been a bit of a mixed bag over the past couple of years, and so the Jets are going to have to do something else, man. I mean, they just can't let this be it. I don't think it is it, but I'm not thinking that what they have in mind is what I'm hoping for because, the Jets are a team that I think has become complacent with where they're at. And at some point, the fan base is going to turn against this team. I got a lot of pushback on Twitter for some of the comments I made about this team's basically failure of an offseason. And I will fully admit that there are some things that the Jets can't control. Losing out on Trotz, there's not much you can do about that. Barry just wasn't really looking to get back into coaching, and I think that he kind of made that clear, even though he gave the Jets the time of day, and I think that that's great news. But once that kind of came off the board, then you had a couple of head coaching candidates. The Jets really didn't seem to get any of them truly on board, or if they interviewed them, it was very brief. And so, then they get Bonus. Now, I actually think Bones might be an all right fit for this team, so I'm not going to complain about that. I liked his interviews. I liked what he said, and he seems like he's, a pretty decent guy. But then you start going down the list. Not giving Eric Comrie enough time to qualify, and now he's gone. You start looking at the whole Pierre-Luc Dubois situation. the Jets are going to try and convince him to stay. And I think his agent just made it clear he doesn't want to stay. No amount of trying to convince him to stay is going to fix the problem. He's got bigger issues with this team, or he just wants to go to Montreal. And you know what? I can't blame him. If he wants to move on, let him move on, right? Stop trying to force things that aren't going to work. Eventually, it just always ends up in people getting traded anyways, and sometimes for less than they might have been able to fetch earlier if the Jets had gotten ahead of it. And then you look at the free agency approach, and I don't, for the life of me, I don't really get it. I think Winnipeg has just massively disappointed me again. Um, but like I said, I'm not really angry or upset about it. Maybe I'm not even disappointed. I mean, it's what I expected. The Jets over the years have been very reactionary for the most part, and they haven't really made a ton of big moves other than guys like Schmidt and Dillon. And Dillon might not even be, the guy that they need to keep. They said they intend for him to stay until the start of next season, and they're expecting him back. But you're looking at the logjam of D the Jets have on the left side. You're looking at the market right now for the defenders, which is just crazy expensive. Can you really afford to keep him on the team? I don't even know. I kind of want to know what your thoughts are. Be sure to let me know at HLivingLoco and LO underscore Winnipeg Jets on Twitter and in the YouTube comments below. How are you feeling about all of this? I mean, we've been told to trust the process for years. We did. But aren't you all tired of just not really having results or things as fans to really latch onto? Let me know what your thoughts are. Maybe some of you are like, I'm way off base and, this guy's just ranting and angry. I think more so than anything, I've just become tired. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in a little bit. I do want to take a look at some of the other major free agent deals today and kind of talk about them because let's be real. Today was just absolutely bat crap insane for a lot of signings. But before we go any further, I do want to shout out one of our other fabulous partners. It's a group that I've talked about before, and I'm personally a big fan. It's Built Bar from Built, and if you've never had a Built Bar, it's a protein bar that's more like a candy bar with a 100% chocolate exterior and a soft, chewy interior. They've got tons of great flavors, like my personal favorite is raspberry dark chocolate. They've also got stuff like apple pie, and they're constantly innovating. They've just introduced coconut brownie chunk puff, which is again like a coconut brownie with that chocolatey, chewy interior mixed with a layer of some wonderful, wonderful marshmallow. And, obviously this sounds super delicious and maybe even just a teensy weensy bit sinful, but, like all Built Bars, it's great for you. It's low calorie, under 200 calories. You're going to have to only deal with 5 to 8 grams of net carbs, maybe just a little bit more than that. And it comes packed with like anywhere from 14 to 18 grams of protein. So rather than having a really sugary candy bar and regretting it later, try a Built Bar instead. They're so delicious. They're made with really healthy protein, and they're built to support every kind of lifestyle, whether you're looking for a snack on the go, maybe a bit of a breakfast replacement, or something right before you hit the gym so that you can build your body the way you want. To get started, go to built.com and be sure to use promo code LOCKED15 at checkout to get 15% off your order. Again, that is promo code LOCKED15 at checkout at built.com. Hello, friends, and welcome back to this episode of Locked On Winnipeg Jets. We are closing out tonight with hopefully some thoughts on some really fun, I guess, transactions and stuff that happened. Quite a few bizarre trades and free agent signings that we've seen. I won't get to all of them today, but in tomorrow's episode, I'll probably wrap up any other crazy ones that occur. The biggest one, though, that everyone's been talking about is Johnny Goudreau going to the Columbus Blue Jackets at 7 years for just under $10 million. Now, the whole situation here was that the Devils, Islanders, and Flyers were all investigating Goudreau's services. The Flyers, because they're really stupid, ended up finding themselves out of the race, and they look more like they're planning to tank, which maybe that is the plan, and maybe they're just not being honest with the whole situation. But whatever the case may be, they definitely could not afford Goudreau's cap hit. The Devils kind of seem like the most natural destination. I mean, New Jersey was primed for him to join. He's, from Jersey, that region, was probably looking to get closer to home. And so, all the stars were seemingly aligning for New Jersey fans. Islanders, I thought, were a little bit more of a distant competitor, but maybe something to try and salvage the last couple of years of this core. But instead, the Blue Jackets came in super late with a huge offer, and despite the offer being high, it was actually less than pretty much every single team that they were competing against gave out. So I think it'll be very interesting to hear his reasoning. Maybe that there's like a personal connection to Columbus, someone in the organization, or something with the locale that made this a really appealing option. Whatever the case may be, Goudreau has signed. Very interesting choice. The Jackets are not exactly in a state where I would say that they're super competitive, but they probably did finish ahead of some of the other teams and competitors that they were fighting for Goudreau's signature with. But yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting move, right? An interesting choice for his career, and certainly, that's one of the biggest free agents off the market now. Maybe the biggest free agent, especially for this offseason. Aside from that, we've seen lots of contract extensions. Tampa Bay has been extending everyone for about 8 years. Cirelli got an 8-year, $50 million deal. Sergachev got even more than that. He's making like $8.5 million per season over 8 years. Pretty expensive and with a lot of term, if I'm being honest. I can't say that I love that for Tampa Bay, but they don't really seem to care what they do. I think that they're just kind of uh, trying to extend that whole run of form and playoff competitiveness for as long as possible. Consequences be darned. Yeah, I guess. I mean, you might as well, right? It's the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are. If you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound, and I think that they've proven they are in for a pound for as many seasons as they can. So, can I blame them? Probably not. One of the other really funny transactions we saw was the Vegas Golden Knights giving Max Pacioretty and Dylan Coughlin to the Carolina Hurricanes, and all they got back in exchange was future considerations. I've not really seen that before. Future considerations for like a guy who's probably going to score like 40 goals for Carolina, plus a pretty decent depth. I think he's like a defenseman, Coughlin is. But, you look at Pacioretty and his fit for Carolina, and they basically just got a major need on the roster filled for free. Now, of course, his cap hit's a little bit expensive, and that's why Vegas kind of just dumped him. But you look at the Golden Knights management and you sort of wonder what exactly their plan is, because it's a little bit confusing, if I'm being honest. Very strange team, and one that I have to say is very puzzling. But as a Jets fan, maybe I can't trash talk. Vegas has still sniffed glory a lot closer and a lot more recently than the Jets have. Now, I've been a little bit dour on Winnipeg's free agent signing so far, but given all this, there is still a chance for the Jets to kind of turn their offseason around. There are some players that they have actually not signed and that are still available on the free agency market, and some of them are actually worth taking a look at. Dylan Strome, Danton Heinen, Sonny Milano, Evan Rodriguez, Victor Mete. If the Jets get like 2 or 3 of these guys, I think their offseason picture starts to change a lot, especially if they make a couple of really smart trades. But they're going to have to get aggressive with this, because I think a lot of teams are going to be after all of these players, and Winnipeg is just not the biggest destination for a lot of free agents. But, we'll have to wait and see what happens. At this point, that's all we can do. I mean, the Jets are going to Jets, right? But, let me know how you're feeling about all of this. Be sure to let me know again at HLLivingLoco and LO_Winnipeg Jets on Twitter and in the YouTube comments below. Give me your thoughts and feelings. I might talk about it on the next episode. Get a bit of a vibes check with the Jets fan base, because I think a lot of people, they're getting to the point where they're kind of fed up. But I'm going to stop the bad vibes there. Yeah, again, just want to thank you so much for choosing to make Locked On Jets your first listen of the day every day. Be sure to make your second listen Locked On NHL. Locked On experts give you a daily 30-minute podcast on all things NHL all year long. It's available on all the same platforms that we are, so give them a like, follow, and a subscription right now. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Have a great night, and go Jets go.